Hello and welcome to EBADay 2020. I'm Hannah Wallace, and kindly calling into our virtual studio today is Michael Steinbach, CEO of equensWorldline. So hello Michael, thank you very much for calling in.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No problem at all, it's good to have you on. So yes, we're talking about instant payments, the status of non-European payment solutions, the digital age, and where fintechs and big techs fit in. So by no means small topics, but starting with instant payments then. For quite a while now, we've been hearing a lot of positive feedback from this space, so that's really where I want to start. How do you see and where do you see the developments in the instant payment space over the last and sort of past year?
Yeah, so the speed with which instant payments was embraced has slowed down a bit, I think. There are various reasons for this, depending on the country, the bank, and of course the situation related to COVID-19. Mm-hmm. So for instance, when we talk about countries, the Netherlands, for example, is still the only country in the EU that has come up with a countrywide complete instant payment approach. And that has not only ensured for them a successful implementation and a stable product, but also a high acceptance rate among customers. So it shows what you can achieve when banks work together. I think the Netherlands is a very good example there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, COVID-19, as I already mentioned, has influenced the way how we all pay. And although there was and is a strong move from cash to non-cash and digital payment means, it does not automatically mean that this has positively influenced the instant payment method. So this year we saw and we still see the process of adopting instant payments. Planned and running projects on instant payments have actually on a global level be slowed down or even postponed in some cases. But even from my point of view, without the pandemic, mm-hmm. Europe would not have been completely up to speed when it comes to instant payments. So my view there is that Europe has not yet everywhere recognized that instant payments are going to be the new normal. Europe as a whole, let's say, doesn't see the absolute urgency. So there is not a complete, let's say, understanding that this is the new normal and we go for it. And you can notice this because this payment method, instant payment, is still in some country a premium service where you have to pay a lot of money for it, up to 4 to 5 euros per the single transaction. So this is, of course, strange. Why it is clear from our point of view that in the long run all the payments will always be instant based on the ISO 20022. So the whole world will be instant in a while, and so will payments as well. To confirm or support my conclusion with the outcome of the public consultation of the European Commission mid of this year, which is or was called a new financial strategy for the EU. I think also there the results and the conclusions out of this public consultation clearly supports this view that this world in payments becomes an instant payments world.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, you certainly set the scene for us there. And so off the back of that, do you think there's enough time for banks to prepare for this digital age we're seeing develop? Or will fintechs and big techs take the lead and take up their market share? What do you think about that?
So the question is which fintechs and startup will still exist or have been taken over at the end of the current pandemic situation. So even startups with a strong market position and a good product are struggling at the moment. So nobody knows what the market will look like after COVID-19. But you can already see that big techs like Amazon, for instance, perhaps the most prominent of them, will further benefit the most from the current situation and will become stronger than they already are. So this is a threat, clearly. Still, I think there are certainly opportunities for banks because they still have a good reputation, are taken seriously, and are seen as trustworthy. I believe personally this plays a major role, and we here in Worldline will support banks as best as we can proactively in their transition to the new world.
And of course, in past interviews with FinextraTV, you've said that the dependence from banks on non-European payment solutions is slightly on the sort of worrying side. What's your view on this issue now? And could you end with maybe some advice for banks moving forward?
So I hope that the banks understand the urgency of European cooperation, because otherwise the big techs from US and China will continue to increase their market presence in Europe. I clearly see the European Payments Initiative, the EBADay, as a very good basis, but also as our last chance in Europe. The EBADay is a group of 16 major European banks that are aiming at a unified pan-European payment solution. And also here we as Worldline proactively support this EBADay initiative. So clearly digitization is driven at that moment by the US and China. I think this is conclusion we can currently see and also draw. And the train has already left and will not stop in other regions and countries. So as a European payment market, I firmly believe it's time, and we really need to take steps now and don't miss any further time here.
Well, Michael, you've given some good advice there, I think it's safe to say. And sorry we couldn't be face-to-face in the studio this year, but I hope you enjoy the rest of the virtual event nonetheless. But thank you for calling in and sharing your insights today.
Thank you very much.